does anyone need higher education anymore? It took me 10 years. 10 whole years. It took me huge efforts and nerves to find an answer to that question. I faced disappointment. I faced unexpected discoveries. I faced true revelations about myself on this way. Right after finishing school, I entered one of the biggest and coolest universities in the country. I studied there for 6 years, defended 2 theses and got 2 degrees, Bachelor and Master of Economics. Sounds quite regular, nothing special. But I'm not sure that I can find the proper words to say what I went through to get those degrees. It was so hard for me. I couldn't keep up with other students, couldn't meet all the requirements. I tried my hardest, but I couldn't succeed for a long time. All I did was pray not to drop out and asked myself the same questions all over again. What am I doing here? Am I in the right place? Why is it so hard? Why is everyone doing so well and I'm not? But I chose to make it to the graduation no matter what. All my time and all my energy I was spending on my studies. I almost never saw my family anymore because who needs family if you have a university? In reality, simply because I didn't have time to come to my hometown. I was studying, I was preparing for the exams, I was taking the exams, and then I was doing it all over again. The only friends I had were just my group mates, because who needs friends if you have a university? And the only thing we ever spoke about was just studies. Now, when my today's friends recall their student years, seeing how fun they were, when they speak about all the happy moments they had, I can't really contribute to these conversations as my memories of those days are completely different. Studies, exams, that's it. I was sick all the time. I constantly had headaches. I had insomnia. I would always feel nervous and anxious. My body couldn't cope with any colds or flus or whatever viruses, and I was sick all the time. I chose to suffer. It was my choice. And I knew that it wasn't the best one that I could have made, so I had to find a proper excuse for it. And I did. I found one. I decided that I was doing all this for one big reason. All the struggling and all the suffering will eventually pay off, I kept telling myself. I'm going to get a great job in finance out there. I'm going to have the most successful career ever. I'm going to have the brightest future possible. I started to truly believe that this nightmare will end someday, but all the benefits and privileges will stay with me for the rest of my life. And that is why it's all worth it. It wasn't the real reason, of course. In reality, I just didn't want to let my family down. They always supported me and did everything they could so that I would get a good education. I have to graduate. I can't quit. And also, I was so afraid to make another mistake. I was so afraid that my new choice might be even worse than the first one. So I created this picture in my mind. It was so good and so easy to believe. And I managed to make it to the graduation. So this picture kind of worked. Now I realize that we can come up with excuses for literally everything. We can find the most logical explanations to the most disadvantaged choices. And we start to believe in them. Have you ever felt like quitting your university? or maybe quitting your job because you hated it. But you probably never quit because you were afraid of letting someone down, or looking weak for quitting, or thinking that your next move might be even worse, or some other reason. What were you thinking back then? Well, you probably convinced yourself that it was a good school or a good company, the money was quite good, there were career opportunities for you, maybe someday. Well, you get it. Right after finishing my master's program, I got a job in the client department of a major bank. Everything was going according to my plan. I started working in finance just like I always wanted. See, I told you, I kept telling myself. But very soon, I realized that I didn't need anything that I'd learned. All these things that I'd been studying so hard and so long had nothing to do with my job. And now I had to get new skills and learn completely new information, and all my academic knowledge seemed to be completely useless. The most terrifying thoughts started to sound quite clearly in my head. All that was for nothing. I felt like I'd spent so much time and so much energy for nothing. I was so angry with myself when I realized it. I blamed myself for making the wrong choice. I thought that it was the biggest mistake of my life. And a bit later, I felt nothing but disappointment. I was feeling this way for several years. I kept working and couldn't find any use of my education. All the skills and knowledge that I had were useless. I admitted my wrong choice and was ready to feel this way forever. Can you imagine? Every morning you wake up and you are already disappointed. That job that you hate so much isn't going anywhere because it's your choice and you have to endure. But you are so scared to make another choice, so you agree to feel like that for the rest of your life. One day, my colleagues from the analytic department offered me a job. It sounded very appealing. But taking this new job was going to be a big change in my career path. You see, it took me years to learn to work with clients, and I was actually pretty good at it. Taking this new job meant starting doing something completely different, something completely new. But I wanted to change something in my life so much. That desire was bigger than all the fears. I wanted to give it a try this time. I didn't have the courage to make this choice last time. Maybe I can do it now? So I did. I did find the courage. I accepted the offer. And wow, I suddenly realized that there is nothing that I can deal with in my new job. It turned out that I already knew everything that I needed to know, well, at least at some basic level. It was exactly what I was studying at university. And everything that I didn't know, I learned very fast because I somehow knew where to get all the information, how to work with it, and how to use it. So this big change that I was so afraid of was totally painless and very motivating. I was inspired. I was willing to grow. And then it hit me. That's why I needed to endure all that. That's what the 6 tough years were about. My skills and knowledge are not useless. I can explore the field of finance and be successful in many ways. I can combine all the university knowledge and all the skills that I acquired in the client department. What's more, now I can help my colleagues. I can help my colleagues from both departments. When they don't understand each other, and that happens pretty much every day, I am the only one who can help them find common ground. I am useful and I love it. What's more important, I'm not afraid to make new choices anymore. I'm strong enough and I'm brave enough for that. You never know unless you try. Now, I know it for sure. But the truth is that she cannot make her own choice because there is no such thing. There are no wrong choices. Every choice you make becomes your experience. It can be positive and it can be negative, but it cannot be useless. So if you can find a use for your education right now and you feel upset about it, then maybe you're just in the wrong place, like I used to be at my first job. Or maybe the time hasn't come yet. You may find a use for your education in 5 or 10 or 15 years, but you will definitely find it. By the way, 2 years ago, my university called me and offered me a job. They said that I was a talented student. They must have forgotten how it was. They knew that I worked for one of the major banks and wanted to invite me to share my practical experience with the students. So, I'm back at my university, but as a teacher now. And I know that I want to be a different teacher. I want to be the one who can share some useful experience with the students. I want to be the one who can help them and guide them in the field of finance. And also, I will do my best to help my students understand that higher education is a valuable experience. Higher education is an important contribution to their future, and it will definitely pay off. Everything has its purpose, and every experience is a gift.